All right, video diary number 2 for ecology. The second week, we're talking about evolution. You posted the statement, nothing in biology makes sense except through the lens of evolution. I find this kind of interesting because to me, um, it depends on the biology you're talking about. If you're doing human medicine, you're focusing on humans and humans alone, and you're focusing on human biology. To me, you don't need evolution to make sense of that. You look at how this one species works, you understand it, and you're there. Now, if you're a veterinarian, I think things are going to start changing a little bit. You know, you have all these different species now that you're dealing with, and they have similar structures or something going on. I think evolution starts rearing its head a little bit. Now, if you're a field ecologist, I believe this is where you're going to deal with evolution a lot more and looking at how animals act together or act around each other, how they feed, all these different things. I think that's where you're really going to see evolution. I mean, the most common is Darwin and his finches and how they have to evolve to eat different food types so their beaks evolve. That's something you talked in class today. I found that really interesting. I'd never thought about before, but they can't all eat the same food source. They wipe the food source out. So they've learned and adapted and evolved to eat these different food sources, and their beaks have evolved with that. I thought that was really cool. Um, so there are many who still refuse to believe in evolution. What do you say to them? When I am religious myself, I do believe in a creator. I was born pretty religious. I was actually born believing that evolution was the devil's tool. Um, I loved science though, and when I first started taking science classes, my first evolution class, I went in thinking, ugh, let's get this over with. And listening to it, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I actually love evolution. I love talking about it. Um, but to what do I say to them? I look at homology. I look at how in my hand you have your phalanges, your wrist bones, down into your arm, shoulder. You look at a lizard, very similar design and structure. You look at a cow, very similar design and structure. Look at a whale, very similar design and structure through all of it. I point to that for one, that look at these, look at how um, everything is so similar. Look at a whale, look at the vestigial structures. A whale still has hip bones. Why? They don't have hind legs, they don't walk. Why do they have hip bones? Why is those hip bones still there? I find that very interesting. Um, I also look at embryos. Embryos are, when I learned this, it kind of blew my mind. The embryos in early stages, you can look at a human, a fish, a chicken, and all the embryos look very similar. Humans even have tails that early on that they end up losing sometimes. I find that so interesting, like that you really can't tell them apart. They all look the same. Humans have gills when they're an embryo. It's so cool, but you look at that. Why would a human have gills in embryo? Especially if there was a creator that created them. Why would he create them to show those gills? Before, why don't they look like a human? I mean, these are questions that you look at and you say, I think there's more there than what you're allowing in your limited capacity there to say, oh, well, it's just created. Well, if it was just created, then why have these leftover vestigial structures that a lot of times we grow out of and stuff? Um, Also, to me, in evolution and religion, you've got two sides that are very passionate, very vehemently believe in it. I a lot of times believe that the answer is somewhere in the middle. I don't think anybody has all the answers. And I think that's what's so fun about science too, is that we get to test these hypotheses, these theories, and we get to learn the answers and try to understand them. I don't think we'll ever have them all. But thank you. That's all for this diary.